What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Stochastic channel. And today we're talking some college basketball DFS ahead of the Final Four slate. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. If you're listening on podcast, please leave a rating and review over there as well. And we are brought to you by Bet365. One of the best ways you could take advantage of any sort of sportsbook offering right now is just take the free money that some of them are giving away via these promos. And Bet365 is doing just that. Right now, when you make your first deposit with Bet365, make a $1 wager, you are automatically going to be paid out $365 in the form of bonus bets. These winnings are added to your bonus bet balance. Terms and conditions apply, time limits apply, and exclusions apply. The legal age for gambling in most states is 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Amazing offer, so make sure to check them out. As you can tell, my voice is still a little raspy from being sick about 3 weeks ago at this point, but we're going to get it done. Final Four. It's going to be a fun one. This is our last 2-game slate of the year. I'm bringing you behind the glass to our data usage tool, where we'll take a look at the first game here in Florida Atlantic taking on San Diego State. This game is probably the lesser of the two you want to target, to be frank. 2-point spread in favor of San Diego State, 131.5 total. A couple reasons why you might want to look at the second game a little bit more intensely. This game has a worse total overall, and both these teams run a 9-man rotation. As we get to with like Miami, it's basically 5 guys. UConn has shown the ability to condense their rotation in competitive games. So this game right off the bat is a little trickier to evaluate. But again, 2-game slate, so we're going to have to take pieces of it. In terms of which of these teams has condensed their rotation a little more, that would be FAU. We'll start there. We've seen Janelle Davis and Elijah Martin each play 30 minutes, at least at some point within the last 3 games. And Janelle Davis has played more than 30 minutes twice now. He's played 35, 28, and 34. And that's including some foul trouble. So they're putting him on the court, viewing him as their premier player. He's actually come with elite rates in that span too. An 18.5% shot rate, 20% rebound rate, and 30% assist rate for Janelle Davis. These are awesome numbers. And these are the kind of numbers that can eclipse a bad game environment. He can sort of elevate above that in DFS lineups. He is expensive here. You're debating between him and some other studs in other game environments. But ultimately, I think he's in play, and I think he will be a little contrarian. Elijah Martin would be the next guy to talk about. 29 minutes, 28 minutes, 32 minutes over the last 3 games. Rates clearly behind Janelle Davis with a 15% shot rate. That's consistent. Rebound rate is a little bit down. And then his assist rate has been pretty consistent. 6,800, I think I'd rather find the money to go up to Janelle Davis. And the same thing goes for FanDuel, where it's 6K to 6.7. But if you need to come down to Elijah Martin, I think that's fine. And I think I'd rather play Elijah Martin than Vladislav Golden on DraftKings specifically. 6.6K for Golden. He has played 28 minutes in back-to-back games, but now facing San Diego State, who's not the biggest team. Do they need to play him 28 minutes? When you look at their prior opponents like Tennessee, he's battling against Uros Plavsic. Their most recent game against Kansas State plays a little bit more in some of those bigger matchups. Now, this also could just be a factor of maybe he's playing more because games are more competitive. Everything's on the line. That could be the case as well. He doesn't shoot a ton with an 11.5% shot rate over the last 3, 20% rebound rate. Outside chance at a double-double here, but I think you can soak up more of that just by paying up for Janelle Davis, which, as you can tell, is my preferred play on this team. The other 2 starters are Nick Boyd and Brian Greenlee. Nick Boyd at 5.5K. You're getting mid-20s in minutes for him. Rates are actually pretty good. If this guy ever saw, a 30-minute game or something like that, the rates would spike. He has the 3rd highest usage rate on the team when you exclude Michael Forrest, who barely plays. So Boyd is an interesting contrarian play on DraftKings, really cheap on FanDuel too. He's a guy to mix into your player pool if you're playing the larger tournaments, I think, especially because that's a weird price point for him. Final starter, Brian Greenlee, coming off a strong shooting performance, but he still didn't really score that much. He just doesn't do a ton overall in the court. More of a win sprinter, lowest usage among the starters. With that said, he's 4.4K, so he is a path to a stars and scrubs build in your lineups. Off the bench, you've got Giancarlo Rosado. He plays the least with the least usage. By far my least favorite play on this team. Michael Forrest is at 3.2K, 17 minutes in back-to-back games. Doesn't do much with him, but if you're just looking for a guy near the stone minimum that lets you jam in studs, I don't hate it, don't love it either. You've got Brandon Weatherspoon, plays anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes. Rates are okay. I'd rather play Greenlee, but he's right there if you would like. And then lastly, Jalen Gaffney, 3.6K. I would prefer Gaffney to Forrest just because the minutes are better. Gaffney's played 18, 17, and 21 minutes. I think he's fine as a pure punt play. And I think maybe the best thing to do is to rank these punt plays. It would be number 1, Greenlee. Number 2, I think it's a toss-up between Weatherspoon and Gaffney. 3 would be Forrest, and 4 would be Rosado for me. That's excluding the guys we talked about in the beginning. San Diego State, they're the favorite here. 3rd highest implied team total. You can tell the second game environment's much better. They run a 9-man rotation as well, except they do not condense minutes when the games are tight. We've seen that over the course of the tournament. And Matt Bradley has played terribly this tournament so far, at least of late. And he's only recorded 20, 19, and 28 minutes. This is their usage leader. His price has fallen pretty consistently now, but it didn't fall that much from the last one. I believe it was 5.8K or 5.9K on DraftKings. He's now down to 5.6. We're actually seeing like Lamont Butler, Darian Trammell, Nate Mensah more expensive than Bradley. With that said, this is a ownership balancing act for me. If Bradley's going to be low owned, I'm going to play him. If you see guys like Trammell and Butler who've played more and played better than Bradley, frankly, if they're more owned, I would rather, again, play Bradley. If they're less owned, I'd rather take shots on them. So this is one we're going to be monitoring throughout the week. I don't hate Bradley. You could see him pop back up for 28 minutes at any point. This whole San Diego State team is volatile, and I think the best approach if you're playing multiple lineups is just to mix and match. Otherwise, in one lineup, I wouldn't even be surprised to see people just flat out fade this team because of the uncertainty. But Bradley, I think, interesting buy low if his ownership's going to be in check. We'll talk about the guys that have played well now. You've got Darian Trammell over the last 3 games. He's played 31, 30, and 25 minutes. I think people might just gravitate to him because of the security. 20% shot rate, which is how he gets most of his usage. This guy is not very active in the periphery. 10.5% rebound rate, 9% assist rate. Not great for Trammell. Lamont Butler, he's 5,900, has played 29, 22, and 26 minutes. Butler has a 14.5% shot rate, but he has a 30% assist rate, which is awesome. Peripheral upside for Butler. Not a strong preference between these guys, honestly. Again, Trammell, I think with the minute consistency, might be a little more popular. Nate Mensah just doesn't make any sense to me in this range. He hasn't played the minutes, 19, 22, and 23. Hasn't been in foul trouble. Doesn't shoot the ball. He has a 7% shot rate in the year. And he's basically a rebound-only guy. So if he doesn't get his rebounds, he's probably not getting a double-double because he doesn't shoot. Probably needs to walk into some blocks. And I don't see how he pays off this price tag in relation to Trammell, Butler, and Bradley. Of the expensive guys, I think he's the least likely to get there. With that said, he's also probably the least owned. Just pure win sprinter and rebounder for this team. Last guy, you've got Keyshawn Johnson at 5K flat. Has played 27, 26, and 17 minutes. Around the same involvement as Mensah, honestly, just doesn't rebound as much. He does a little bit more in the periphery with that 9% shot rate, 9% assist rate. But with that said, he's also not rebounding. So I'll say this. The forwards, Keyshawn Johnson and Mensah, are my least favorite here. And honestly, this can extend to the bench where you have Jaden Ledee at 5.3K. He's a little more involved than those other 2 guys, but he's at 5.3K, and his minutes have been even less secure, 20, 18, 17 for Ledee. Find it really hard to get to him. Among the 5K plus guys, I'm going to rank them Bradley 1, Trammell 2, Butler 3. Maybe flip Butler and Trammell. I'm still undecided on that. The rest of the guys off the bench, you have Micah Parrish, 16 minutes, 28 minutes, 21 minutes. He actually is fairly involved. 13% shot rate, 15% rebound rate last 3. That's okay. Aguep Rop, he's terribly uninvolved. 14 minutes, 20 minutes, but he fouled out of the second most recent game. So If you're looking for some minute upside, perhaps it's in there. He's long, so maybe he gives you some block upside, peripheral upside. And Adam Psycho, 3.3K for him. I think he's the most consistent minute getter among the value plays, 23 minutes, 21 minutes, 16 minutes. It's just hard to do any less on the court than him. Last 3 games, 4% shot rate, 2.5% rebound rate, 9% assist rate. This guy is a pure win sprinter. Just unfortunately, we don't get points for doing cardio out there. Then we might want to play Psycho a little bit more. As you can see, this is a very tough game to evaluate. I would try to limit exposure here if you're playing one lineup, playing cash games, playing small field tournaments. If you are playing tournaments, I think that's where you take shots on Bradley, Trammell, Butler, the cheap guys, or Rope, Psycho, Parrish. And then FAU, I think, is a little more clear, which we've already discussed. Second game, by far the better game. We have Miami taking on UConn. 5.5 point spread in favor of the Huskies. 149.5 total. Nearly 20 more points than the first Final Four game. And we have a suspect defense in Miami, to say the least. They rank 198th in defensive efficiency. We'll start with the Hurricanes because they have easily the second highest implied team total on the slate. And they run one of the tightest rotations in the country. That's led by usage leader Isaiah Wong. And first and foremost, all of these starters will play almost every single minute with the exception of Wooga Poplar. We'll get to him, but Wong's going to play every single minute. 22.5% shot rate, 17% rebound rate last 3. Good peripheral upside for Wong. His assist rate's down over the last 3 games. On the year, it's 22%. He has enough upside in every statistical category to target here, and he's the 3rd most expensive among these Miami players. So taking the usage leader in Wong, I think he makes a lot of sense. Norchad Omier, walking double-double when he gets the minutes. Had foul trouble last game, so we only played 28 minutes, but prior to that, 32 and 26. That was coming off the injury. Norchad came into the tournament a little banged up, but he's been playing through it since. He has a 38% rebound rate in the last 3 games, 29% on the year. This guy's a walking double-double if he gets the minutes. Will have a tough matchup against Sanogo and Klingon inside. They will be ceding height, but as long as he doesn't foul, Norchad is a very solid play here. Finally, Jordan Miller. He's consistent across the board. Doesn't have that one usage category like Wong shots or Omier's rebounding that really shoots him to the top of these upside categories, but he's so consistent across the board that often gives him the upside alone. He's got the 17% shot rate. It's 18% on the year. He has a 17% rebound rate on the year, 18% assist rate on the year. There's an outside chance for a double-double on any given day because of the rebounds, but there's so much consistency in the periphery, and there's so many minutes with Jordan Miller that he's oftentimes reaching a ceiling just through a mixing and matching of statistical categories. So he's another elite play here. Going away from Miller, Omier, and Wong, you have Nigel Pack, now playing elite minutes, 36 and 35 last 2. Shot driven, 20% shot rate, but his assists have climbed too with the extra minutes. So Pack, not quite as much of a shot dependent guy as he has been in previous slates. Still has that a little bit to his game, but he is assisting more, giving you slightly more peripheral upside. So at 6,700, if you can't afford like a Wong, Omier, or Miller, you're playing multiple Miami guys, no issues with Pack. And lastly here, you've got Wooga Poplar, 33 and 30 minutes last 2 games. Those are awesome for Poplar. He has rates similar to Jordan Miller where he's just so involved in every statistical category. The problem with him earlier this year was that he just wasn't getting all the minutes. Now that we've seen 33, 30, that is helping him a ton. 6,200 is a bit to pay for him. This is a guy that was around 5K at the start of the tournament. But with that said, the minutes have jumped as well, making him, I think, a fine price-adjusted play on this slate. For the bench, 6-man is Bensley Joseph. With healthy Poplar, you're probably looking at like 12 minutes. If someone were to get injured or foul, he would be the first guy off the bench for the guards. For the forwards, mainly just Omier. You'd see Anthony Walker play more. Again, these are just guys that are foul-specific plays. Harlan Beverly would be even further behind Bensley Joseph and Anthony Walker, but maybe you play Beverly just because you need a guy at this price range and you don't want to play Adam Psycho or something like that on the other side, which I could definitely see here. Those guys are just essentially GPP-driven access points to stars and scrubs, and you hope they play a few more minutes than maybe their counterpart, and that could be enough to get it done for you. On the UConn side, they've They've blown out their last 3 teams, 28-point victory, 23-point victory, 15-point victory. We have seen Sanogo play 30 minutes. It's just been a while because they've been blowing teams out in the tournament, but Sanogo does have 30-minute upside. You just haven't seen it in a long time. And it's crazy. He's played 26 minutes, 24 minutes, 27 minutes without foul trouble. And in that span, he still accounted for nearly a 22% shot rate and 23% rebound rate. He double-doubled in the last game. The 2 games prior, he was a pair of boards away from double-doubles. If he touches 30 minutes, he's doubling. He's getting blocks. Elite upside with Sanogo here. So he's a strong play, especially with the advantage that UConn holds on the interior. The 2 guards this team typically runs through Jordan Hawkins and Andre Jackson. Hawkins is more of a pure shooter. He has a 19% shot rate, and all the rest of his rates are below 10%. So that's going to lead to volatility with him. His prices jumped a little bit, but I still view him as a value. Andre Jackson's the exact opposite. This guy doesn't shoot, but his peripheral upside is elite. Last 3 games, he has about an 11% shot rate, 20% rebound rate, 41% assist rate. If he walks into a few extra shots, Andre Jackson has some elite upside here. Similar to Hawkins, his prices now just jumped a little bit. Not really too concerned. Final 2 starters are Tristan Newton and Alex Caravan. These are the more price, friendly guys. Newton has played 29, 31, and 27 minutes against some of that blowout related. He's more of a peripheral player, 14% rebound rate, 26% assist rate last 3 games for Newton. Shot rate's at 12% in the year. I think that's okay to target at this particular slate. Caravan got into some foul trouble last 2 games. He's only played 22 and 28 minutes, but he was at 32 the game prior. His rates are the worst among the starting 5, but he's also the cheapest. I think I'd rather play Newton in a vacuum, but if you need to fill that forward spot, which is a little pesky on this slate, don't hate Caravan. Off the bench, Klingen's rates are so good. If he ever played more than 13 minutes, this guy would be a walking double-double, not just because of his size, but rebound rates elite, block upside elite. You're just walking into 13 minutes almost guaranteed with him unless Sanogo fouls out immediately. And now at 5,100, that's a tough price to pay, I think, for Klingen in this game environment. From there, you've got Joey Calcaterra and Naheem Aline. I think I would rather play Naheem Aline straight up. Rates are a little bit worse, but minutes are a little bit better. 16, 19, 22 minutes last 3. Calcaterra has been at 13, 12, and 16. Not really a strong preference here. I think you can mix and match these guys as value plays. Don't really have any specific takes between them. But that'll do it for us in this Final 4 DFS slate. Let me know in the comment section what you think of these plays. If you agree, disagree, I would love to hear it. Reach out on Twitter if you'd like. I'm available at Matt_Gajewski. Otherwise, we'll be back one last time for the national championship. And until then, good luck, everybody. We'll see you again next time.